All right, here at Trevor Story of the Colorado Rockies. Your second appearance on the podcast. First time in person, though. Yeah, that was last year when we were trying to get you to the All-Star game,
right?
And we had you on as a phoner. And now you've been to 2 All-Star games since our last conversation, so not a big deal. 2-time All-Star. What's your favorite All-Star memory that you've been a part of now?
Yeah, I think the first one was so special to me. Obviously being my first time seeing all the guys being on the field with that type of talent. I'm gonna say the home run I hit, in my first at bat. That was super special, man. I feel like I blacked out, kind of rounding the bases, and seeing my family above the dugout too. After I crossed home plate, that was pretty special for me.
Because I remember, it was part of like the fan voting or whatever. So if it's like a last minute getting into the All-Star game, we were talking to some guys out in Cleveland for the 2019 All-Star game that kind of got in last minute, and they were like, we couldn't get everyone there that we wanted to get there. Who were you able to get to that All-Star game to see your first one?
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough business. I did that in 16. I was part of the final vote. We don't do that no more. But
yeah, we know. We're just getting
so hopefully that's the case.
Yeah.
And I got to I got to bring all my family. My best friend from back home. My hitting guy from since high school. And just really family, my wife, of course. So that they loved it, man.
You guys have been together forever, right?
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yep, almost 10 years now.
Dude, if I was married to my high school girlfriend, I would be a miserable man. I think she's already been married and divorced twice by now. So you used to pitch back in the day.
Yeah,
you could hit what, like 95, 96 on a gun.
Yeah, I did. That's where I was topping out at for sure.
So so obviously you being a shortstop and you having the power numbers that you do, 2 All-Star selections, you probably have never had a second where you thought that you made the wrong decision.
Right.
Like if you throw 96, it's like, all right, well, what could have been? But like when you're playing every single day, and you're doing what you're doing, I can't imagine that there's very many moments where you're regretting that decision.
Yeah, exactly. I liked pitching, but I feel like playing a position is way more fun. It's I feel like I was too athletic to be a pitcher. The pitchers might not like that, but I felt
David
like
Wells is kind of like, you make a good point.
yeah,
make a good point.
I certainly don't think twice about it after I throw a ball as hard as I can, and my arm's like, I don't know if I can handle that 100 times a game. So just from a endurance standpoint, I couldn't do it that much.
Yeah, and I mean, you grew up playing baseball in Texas, so that's me growing up playing baseball in New England. I think like the fastest fastball I saw in high school was like maybe 78.
Yeah.
So like you're probably seeing 90s in high school, right?
Yeah. It's super competitive.
Yeah.
Obviously football's king there, but
And you play football?
Yeah, I did.
QB?
I did.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, but the big 3
Any
sports.
Any chance to go pro in football?
I don't know about that. I wanted to play receiver. I wanted to be like, whether it was slot or running back or something like that. I like being like moving and running, but they always wanted to put me at QB just because I could throw it a little bit. So I understand where that comes from, but I felt like I was more a receiver at heart.
Yeah. What age? What was the first time? How old were you when you saw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball for the first time?
Ooh.
And what was your thought? Because I remember playing like Little League, and these kids were throwing gas. So where I'm from, the Saugus Little League team was second in the country and fourth in the world in the Little League World Series. So when I was playing at Little League, like we were seeing fuel.
Yeah, right.
And I remember just being like, no, I'm sick today. It was kind of like how like Kruk probably felt facing Randy Johnson. It was like, no, I'm good today.
Right.
So for you, when was the first time that you saw 90? Because that's a completely different viewpoint.
Yeah, that's kind of the threshold right there when you start realizing, this game's going to be pretty tough. But I can't remember for sure, but I want to say like probably 7th or 8th grade.
What?
Say. Yeah. For sure, coming into freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I might have seen it a year or two before that.
Yeah.
But, in Texas, man, there's some big boys throwing pretty hard. And, I think it helped me, in the long run.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of what I was going to get at, is like, how much did that help you seeing 90 that early, and how much did it sort of thin the herd back then, when it was like, there's obviously kids that play in Little League and Legion, and they get to high school ball, and now everyone's got, it's you're basically playing the big leagues. Like, it's 90 miles an hour plus, and that's definitely got to weed out a bunch of people. So what did that group from where you grew up, with like a bunch of kids playing, to now it's like, all right, you got to be pretty serious about this if you're going to be playing at this level?
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of feel it, and you see the guys that are going to be players for a while, and I think the way I saw it was, if you got hit by 90, then you felt like you were about to die, especially as a little kid. But no, I think it helps you, help me compete, at such a young age, that I was always competing. I was always kind of playing up against, my talent level, and like you said, that kind of weeds out the guys who don't really love it or really care for it. So, you got to love it to stand in there against that type of stuff.
So I'm guessing it wasn't a very difficult decision to pick baseball over football for you.
Yeah, no, baseball was always my first love, and I always knew that. I always got a little more psyched up for baseball season than any other seasons, and it kind of made it easy on me. I was playing football. I was playing QB my sophomore year, and I broke my collarbone, got straight, pile drived into the ground, and snapped that. And after that, I was like, man, I think baseball's, it's time to go straight baseball from now on. And it sucks that an injury kind of made it happen, but in hindsight, that's what made it happen. Yeah.
Would you let your kids play football?
Yeah. I think I would. I'm partial. I think just because in Texas it's so prevalent. It's it's almost like a culture down there, and I feel like the game's getting safer. They're going about it the right way. I think you just kind of got to learn the techniques as a young kid, the way to do it and the way not to do it. So I would definitely let my kid play.
What was the biggest crowd you played in front of in high school, and what sport was it for? Obviously football.
Let's see. I don't know, because I didn't play in too many huge crowds, in front of too many huge crowds, because we had a pretty good quarterback, my freshman, sophomore year. So I could only play JV until, he was gone. And I don't know, probably 1,000 people, but
that's still pretty big for high school.
Yeah, for high school. But the varsity, every time, pretty much every time the big good Texas teams are playing, there's thousands of people there, man.
Have you ever been back to your high school to talk to the kids that are on the team now?
Yeah, I've been back. It was a couple years ago. I went back and just kind of saw the field, and that the head coach that I was with, he's kind of moved on from there. So, just kind of go back and talk to the kids a little bit, talk to them about the game, and just kind of encourage them, man. That a kid from Irving, you can see where you can go.
Right.
It's, don't put any limits on yourself. Just try to encourage them.
How many guys that you played, like amateur baseball before you signed to be a pro? How many guys did that you played at that level ended up in the big leagues?
A lot. I mean, Josh Bell with the Pirates.
Yeah, he's a moose. I saw him at the All-Star game. He is way bigger than I thought he was.
He's a monster, man. Yeah. His shoulders are like as wide as me and you.
Yeah.
But no, he JB. I played with him, same travel ball team. For about 4 or 5 years, and John Curtis, a pitcher with the Twins, and there's actually a pretty epic, high school kind of showcase game that we played in Jupiter, Florida. That was some of the most crazy talent I think has ever been in a game like that. Yeah. It was like me, JB. We had Jose Fernandez was pitching against us.
Damn.
Javi Baez was playing short or third. He was playing third.
Damn.
Lindor was playing short for them. I think Vogelback was like DH.
He's ridiculous. That
Jay
dude.
Cave was in center field, I think, and it was just kind of one of those games where
there's video of this.
I don't know if there's video. I know it was one of the it was a very highly scouted game for sure. But looking back on it now, it's like, damn, that's a pretty stacked team,
that's
or a stacked going against each other. That was cool.
Yeah. So last year you hit a bomb that was 550 5 feet officially.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you feel that at all?
No, it was one of those, you catch, barrel, the right trajectory. You really don't feel anything at all.
Yeah.
And it was.
Where'd it go?
So pretty much where that pink thing is up top.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like short hop the brick wall right there.
Oh, God.
Definitely my best bullet. Yeah. Just one of those super like smooth, silky swings that, I wasn't really trying to hit a home run, but, the second I hit, I was like, yeah, that's it.
You got it a little bit. Yeah. By the way, for obviously the people are watching on YouTube, but then the people that are listening on podcasts, the pink thing that we're talking about is underneath the video board, and it was 505 feet away from home plate, which is absolutely ridiculous. I talked to you about this yesterday, and I told you I was going to bring it up. So Trevor made his major league debut in 2016, which was the same year that one Aaron Judge also made his major league debut, and you have more home runs than Aaron Judge, career. And I know that there'll probably be Yankee fans listening to this being like, oh, well, he was hurt and this and that. Still, I mean, like, Aaron Judge, when he's talked about, is Aaron Judge. And Trevor Story should be talked about in the same context when you've got a near 40-bomb season last year. You're closing in on at least 35, 40 this year. So do you like flying under the radar, so to speak? Like, you should be talked about in the same context. If we're going to talk about Aaron Judge as an Aaron Judge, like, Trevor Story should be a guy that's talked about in the same sort of context.
I feel different about it sometimes. I think market has so much to do with it, obviously.
Yeah.
New York is the biggest market, and those guys play under the pressure that they do every night, and it's that's just kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not the biggest guy that needs all this attention or anything like that or any praise, but it's like I said, it's just kind of something that comes with the territory, and I've gotten used to that, and but it's something that I don't really. It doesn't bother me too much, that it doesn't get talked about or anything, and but yeah,
you're also sharing one side of the diamond with Nolan Arenado, pretty good at baseball as well.
Right.
I mean, like, how cool is it to be like, I mean, I got 35 plus bombs in the tank. He's got at least 35 in the tank. Is it cool to know? Because I mean, being an individual, you want to look at your numbers at the end of the year and be like, yeah, like, I crushed it. But to share the same side of the infield with a guy that's got the same amount of power in the tank, like, is that like cool to know that?
Yeah, it's special, man. He's Nolan. I think he's on track to be probably the greatest third baseman of all time, in my opinion. So just being able to play next to him, and he's taught me so much. I don't even think he knows how much that he's taught me. But yeah, we kind of feel that we want to be the best that we can be, and I think we push each other so much that we never really talk about it. It's not like, hey, I got 2 more than you right now, or anything like that. I think it's just kind of an unspoken thing. We feel it, and we definitely push each other, man. And it's cool to see at the end of the year, how we stand amongst each other. And he's a beast, though, man. He's got me right now for sure.
What was your reaction when you heard that Troy Tulowitzki had retired, and have you talked to him since the announcement?
Yeah. It was, I guess it's kind of, bittersweet for him. He was such a great player, and him and Nolan are actually the 2 biggest mentors in my baseball career, and they taught me so much. He took me under his wing and, had me out to Vegas and worked out with him in the off season. And, man, just the intensity that he showed me how to work with was bar none. And, he had such a great career, just kind of riddled by injuries. It's tough to see that, man. Just such a talent that, he never really fully got to play as long as he wanted. And, he was special for so many years. I think the best in the game for a long time. And I reached out to him and just told him, how much he helped me out and how much he meant to me. And, I felt like I needed to do that because like I said, he was one of the biggest mentors for me.
Right, and I mean, you've now you are the Rockies shortstop. There's no doubt about that. Like, you're the guy now. Do you feel like in this 3-year window already that you've gotten out from like the Troy Tulowitzki shadow, so to speak? Because there's always going to be like the passing of the torch, and he gets traded to Toronto, and then like you've got a battle with Jose Reyes was here for a little bit. There's no doubt about it that you're the guy, but I think Rockies fans at this point are like, no, Trevor Story is the shortstop. Like, he's the guy. Like, we're not comparing him to Troy Tulowitzki. Troy Tulowitzki was the franchise guy, but now we're kind of moving in a different direction. Like, it's already kind of just a turn the page type moment. Like, I feel like there's no shadow for you.
Right. And I think Tulo did a great job of helping me with that. He reached out to me, and he said, pretty much just be yourself. And, I took that to heart, and I try not to compare myself to anybody, really.
You guys are completely different players.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're different players for sure. Similar to in some aspects to where, we're both, I think bigger shortstops, and, we take a lot of pride in defense and, hitting for power. And, but yeah, we're different players, and I think that's something that I always try to remind myself is, I was always trying to be just the best Trevor Story that I could be. And, I think Tulo is trying to do the same for Tulo.
Yeah. You grew up a Texas Rangers fan?
Yeah, I did.
Who was your guy?
Michael Young was my guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael Young and Pudge, obviously.
Yeah.
Juan Gonzalez, all those guys are coming to mind. But yeah, no, I was a diehard Texas Ranger fan.
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton was kind of like a little bit after you. Like, you had already kind of progressed as your own career trajectory by that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if you got to see Hamilton play live, but that was one special player. Like, when they talk about like it just sounds different off the bat, like that. It kind of sounds corny when talking about certain guys. It was true for him.
Yeah, no,
1,000%.
I'm with you. I got to see him, in his MVP year. And like you said, dude, he's just sounded different. It's a freak. He's the fastest guy out there, the strongest guy out there. Just the game just looked so easy for him. It seemed like he could just run out there and hit one in the third deck, and that's what I feel like he did. Most of the time.
Yeah. Who's one guy in baseball history that you'd want to get into the box just to see what it looks like?
Oh,
not that you think that you could hit one off the pink thing out there off of them. Just like, I want to see what it looks like.
Like, pitcher-wise?
Yes.
Okay. A couple guys, I think, like Nolan Ryan. He's kind of the big power guy. The first guy like that. I feel like, well,
but don't you think,
there's guys.
I've never actually thought about this before, Nolan Ryan. But don't you think that like you now playing in this era where you got guys coming out of the bullpen blowing 98, 99 on a nightly basis, that if you saw Nolan Ryan, you'd be like, no, that looks pretty familiar. Like, to the guys that he was pitching against, I mean, it was like, oh my God, like I've never seen anything like that before.
Right.
But I feel like you have definitely seen something comparative to Nolan Ryan's fastball.
Yeah. He's definitely ahead of his time. He
Big
was
time.
for sure. And I think more than anything, I guess the presence he had on the mound.
The intimidation factor is big
like
time.
He could beat you up, pretty much, or he might throw one under your chin, and I think that has more to do with it than the actual stuff. But the presence, and I think kind of Randy Johnson comes to mind with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
lefty-righty matchup there.
I know. I like lefties. So, but damn, Randy Johnson's like 7 foot tall, so that one would be interesting. I'd like to see Mariano's cutter. I'd like to see that. I know you might not.
I've seen it a couple
like
times.
to hear that.
Yeah. No, we tip our cap to Mo. I think that's just one of those guys where he played the game of class, and you can't deny his greatness. Like, there's some guys maybe you can have a little bit of a debate, but Mariano Rivera, hands down, the greatest relief pitcher that's ever played the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
We got to talk kicks though.
Yeah,
because I didn't know that you were that. Jenny Kavnar told me that yesterday. So she goes way back with Dallas. So she's been on the podcast before. Saw her yesterday, and she was like, "Yeah, if you talk to Trevor, why don't you ask him about his shoe game?" Yeah. So the only other person I think I've talked shoes with is Marcus Stroman, who literally has like a shoe room in his house.
Yeah, I've kept up with him. He's got a pretty tight collection.
It's like, honestly, it's almost like an episode of Hoarders. That's
Yeah.
what his house looks
Right.
like with shoes.
Yeah.
So what's our wheelhouse for you?
I love Jordans, the retro Jordans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much all Nike, honestly.
Same.
So yeah, I mean that's just kind of what I grew up on, and I don't stray from it.
Who got you into the game?
I think my big brother. He loved shoes too, and I think my mom and my grandma, honestly, they were always the ones kind of. If I got good grades, then I'll get a brand new pair of shoes.
Okay.
So
I thought you were about to say your grandma was wearing Nikes. She's rocking the Jordan 4s.
Yeah, that would be great. But no, those are the ones that kind of incentivized me to get new shoes, and it's kind of just a love that I've had since I've been a kid.
Appreciate that. All right,
Yeah.
Trevor Story, Colorado Rockies. Your second. How do you think the second one went comparative to the first one? First one was over the phone. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
We're banging the phoners.
All right.
We're gonna do in person from now on.
Yeah, I like this one better.
Yeah, we're gonna
I'm
come
on
back
this
to
one.
Colorado next. I like Denver.
Yeah.
Denver's not bad. Denver,
Sneaky good town,
It is
yeah.
a sneaky good town. All right, we'll do it again. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Sounds good, man.